Catherine McKenna is the Federal Minister of Infrastructure. She joins me now. Minister McKenna, good to see you again. Thanks for taking time to speak with me.
Great to join you.
Tell me how this $10 billion three-year plan fits into your government's pledge in the speech from the throne to rebuild a greener, more inclusive Canadian economy after the pandemic.
Well, I think it's all hands on deck right now. We're not just in a health crisis, we're in an economic crisis, and people are really feeling hurt by it. A lot of jobs have been lost. And so when we got the new head of the Infrastructure Bank, Michael Sabia, a very well-respected business person, we had a discussion about how, can we have a plan that's adapted for the times, which we need to create jobs in the short term, and of course we need to align it with our broader objectives of growing the economy and also building a cleaner, low-carbon economy. And so that's what this plan is. So it's $10 billion invested in 5 sectors, and many of those sectors are things that we're thinking about during the pandemic. So take broadband. The investment in broadband is designed to connect almost 1 million people, 750,000 Canadians. We know we need to do that. Public transit, people have focused a lot on the importance of public transit to get people to and from work as we reopen the economy. They're looking at investing in electric buses. Clean power generation, we know we need renewable power, clean power, as well as transmission and storage. Really important for jobs now, but also for a low carbon future. Retrofit, so retrofitting our economy, that creates good construction jobs. It also saves folks money. And then there's another area that might be new to folks, which is water irrigation. Water critical for our farmers, our ranchers in the prairie provinces. There's been a lot of interest in funding some really big projects that are going to make a difference there. So these are investments that are critical for the time we're in, creating jobs, but also critical to advance our longer term goals, especially tackling climate change.
How did you come up with a figure of 60,000 jobs? Is there some formula that says, $10 billion gives you 60,000 jobs?
Well, what the bank's been doing, they've worked really hard on this plan, is going through sector by sector, consulting with experts, looking at, when you do retrofits, who are you hiring? How does it work? You're hiring construction workers, you're hiring planners, you have the businesses that are providing the supplies. They did that sector by sector to get a quantum of jobs. We think it's realistic, and they're going to deliver on that. And I think that's really important because infrastructure is great. It's important to our competitiveness. It's important to the quality of life. It also is one of the best ways to create jobs.
These were target areas for investment. You just named them all in big projects. How many projects have actually been selected? When will a job be created?
Well, actually, if you're in Montreal now and you're watching this show, you would know about the REM transit line. It's actually a really big project creating thousands of jobs, and it's being built right now. It's also something that's going to make a real difference of lives of folks in Montreal, because I know everyone believes they need better public transit. So there's a number of projects. They're also looking at rail in the corridor. We've talked about that for decades. We need to get major projects built and going. And so that's what this is all about. It's really looking at the opportunities, actually moving forward, but having a vision, because I think you need to have a vision. It can't just be, investments in random things. And so this will provide some certainty to the private sector. And some people may be wondering, well, why do you need a Canada Infrastructure Bank? The whole intent is to stretch taxpayer dollars. So they look at projects where you can bring in the private sector as a partner. So $1 can be $2 or $3 in infrastructure. And I'll tell you that we have great infrastructure needs, so we need to be bringing in the private sector, and we need to get things built.
But to be clear, they only get involved if there's a return on investment for them. So if there's money to be made on the project, they're making it.
Well, look, we get the return on the investment, which is, for example, in the broadband, 750,000 more people who are connected to high-speed, affordable broadband. That is critically important. So the return is for Canadians in terms of actually improving their quality of life, including, having, if you have access to broadband, you can run your business, you can homeschool your kid, you can, connect to medical assistance. So these are really important investments that improve the lives of Canadians. But as infrastructure minister, I know there's only so much government money to go around. That's just a reality, and the needs to build a more competitive future, to build the infrastructure, the good quality, high-value infrastructure we need to bring in the private sector. And right now, private sector, the money is going to other countries.
Okay,
we should bring it here and build more and be more competitive.
You mentioned how much money there is to go around. There's been $35 billion in the infrastructure bank to go around in the last 3 years. So far, only $4 billion of that has gone out the door. It's had some serious problems, as as you know. I think there's been 9 projects in the last 3 years, and you had to shake up the management team this spring and bring in Mr. Sabia. So I guess Canadians watching, and you heard it from opposition parties today, why should we have confidence that the bank's actually going to get anything built?
I think you should have confidence because you have Michael Sabia at the helm of it. He was head of the Caisse de dépôt in Quebec. I think you can talk about the government of Quebec, but also Quebecers to talk about, they really think that he did a really great job in getting infrastructure built that creates jobs, improves the quality of life. And so they've got a plan. And I think what's very critical is that there's a very clear plan. A short-term plan, 3 years, there's a quantum of jobs, 60,000 jobs associated with it in areas that we know are real opportunities. And so we're going to be moving forward, and I think you're going to see a number of projects announced very shortly. And so I think that's what Canadians look for. That's what they expect. That's certainly what I expect as infrastructure minister. I've been focused in my job over the last few months approving thousands of projects that are creating jobs across the country.
Mr. Sabia did say today, like he echoed that. He says, look, we'll have stuff to talk about. We'll have some announcements to make. He predicts before the end of 2020. That sounds fairly ambitious, but we'll see. Look, some people would say there are lots of other projects that might be worthy of the bank's investment and will create jobs, but maybe they don't check all the boxes on the government's green objectives. So are those projects out of luck for any help from the infrastructure bank if they don't have this green component that falls into step with the government's direction for a post-pandemic economy?
Well, I mean, any project that could be suitable will be considered by the bank. I think, though, the bank has laid out an agenda that's aligned with our government's objectives, and it's not just moving to the clean economy, which we know is worth trillions of dollars, and we need to be there if we're going to be competitive, and also, quite frankly, tackle climate change. It's also about the digital economy. We know that we need to have folks connected. Even if it weren't in a pandemic, we would need folks connected. I think it's become even more apparent. And look at the prairies, irrigation projects, food security, our agri-food business, huge opportunities, huge job opportunities, economic opportunities for Canadians. So we focus on areas, and the bank is focused on areas that will be suitable in the short term, so adjusting their focus, but they're still open for business to look at other opportunities.
We've got about 30 seconds left, and you touched irrigation. Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan, he's unveiled an irrigation project there, $4 billion to draw water from Lake Diefenbaker to irrigate 500,000 acres of land in the province. He's approached the infrastructure bank, but he's saying now what he wants to know is, look, will I be offered a loan or a grant? What should he expect? How should he expect to be treated?
Well, I mean, the infrastructure bank looks at different financing models. It's to bring in the private sector, so there has to be a return on the investment for the private sector for it to be suitable. I know that the Premier is well aware of that, and I think there are real opportunities. And I think it's a very positive step that the bank has shown that they're open to those opportunities in irrigation, which I think also the Premier of Alberta has talked about. I know it's important for Manitoba as well. This is about getting infrastructure built that'll make a difference across Canada.
All right, Infrastructure Minister Catherine McKenna, always good to talk to you. Thanks for your time
Great
tonight.
to talk to you. Bye.